Guys, let's have a talk. We have a huge problem. Look at the graph. Less than 5% of you are subscribed to my channel. It doesn't take much to make me happy. How about 1 in 5 of you subscribe right now?
Great marriage until my wife dies. Realized infidelity after she died. Swept it under the rug for the kids' sake. Now it's back to haunt me. My so an extrovert and I an introvert started dating in our mid-20s. We both had our fill of one-night stands and cheating partners. 3 years later we were married. We were best friends that had a lot of fun and couldn't keep our hands off each other. DNA left in 4 countries and half the states. On my so's 34th birthday I gave her a ring box with a note asking if she would quit her birth control so we could have a baby together. She jumped into my arms and kissed me until I lost my balance and fell to the floor. The happiest I'd ever seen her. She took me into the bedroom, past the bed dam, into the bathroom where we flushed her remaining pills. Over the next 5 years, we lost 3 pregnancies. This hurt us both deeply. We talked and decided to adopt. The process is long, but in our early 40s we watched our daughter Em be born. The sparkle was back in her eye. The next 8 years were wonderful. My so was the kindest, most empathetic mother I'd ever seen. All of our friends told me how lucky I was. At 50 my so asked me to get a vasectomy to lessen the chance of another unwanted pregnancy. I had a bad case of the flu the week of my snip and I had to cancel. My so got the same flu for me the next week. She wouldn't let me take her to the hospital, but I finally took her to the emergency room where she had a stroke that lapsed into a coma. 6 horrible days later she passed away. Both Em and myself were devastated. It took almost a year before she would sleep in her own bed. She said she was afraid I'd leave too. Soon I received 2 credit card statements in her name. We always had common finances. The balance for both cards was just shy of $14,000, mostly in cash advances I sent for all of the back statements. This got me thinking about the last year. 1. As time life went from normal, down to once every week or 2, to me giving and not getting head but no penetration. She also had a few new foreplay tricks she'd never used before. 2. We also went from talking over everything at dinner to barely talking by the end of the year. Then to the point she would avoid talking to me at all. 3. All we had was a landline with 2 phones. She would get mysterious late calls and the caller ID register was always cleared, completely not normal. 4. She went from a girls' night every week or 2, to girls' night twice a week by the end of the year. Her dress for girls' night also went from jeans and a sweater to being dolled up by the end of the year. She would even get her hair done sometimes. 5. Then I got total confirmation of her affair in the mail again. I was blissfully ignorant and enjoyed the one-on-one time with Em, playtime, bath time, chasing her until she would go to bed, then story time and kiss her on the forehead goodnight. After a couple years of grieving and obsessing, my company offered me a job far away and I jumped at it. I pretty much just swept everything under the rug and we left. Fast forward 10 years and I start having these very vivid dreams that I remembered for days. My so would be dressed beautifully, dancing and kissing her AP. They would go to their room, strip in front of me and throw their clothes on me like I was a CCK, then screw in front of me and laugh at my misery. I finally went to an IC who told me that I never got closure on my so's affair. I 64 just retired and Em 22 wants to move back to our hometown. I am hesitant because I still don't know who the AP is and I don't want to be nice to the sob that screwed my wife. I would be surprised if AP was outside our circle of friends. I also don't want Em looking up to someone who screwed her mother. Should I ask so's best friend who AP is? She would know. Should I dig all this back up? I'm obsessing again. I thought all of this was behind me. Please let me know. Update. I want to thank all of you that commented on my original post. I tried to read, digest and return your comments. It really gave me something to think about and I appreciated even the Ashol commenters. After my post, I started taking my prescribed sleep aids. I've had 8 really good nights of sleep without a dream about my so. I'm feeling better already. I talked to my so's BFF yesterday. She was happy to see me and we went over to her sister's for Memorial Day barbecue. We went back to her place and spent some time catching up. Then I asked her if she knew who my so was having an affair with before she passed. She was stunned and surprised when I told her. I think it took her completely by surprise. She said, "Oh God, no. All she ever wanted was to have a family." She reminded me that was the year of her divorce, and rather than being less than a mile away from our house, she was now 20 miles away. They didn't see each other near as often as they used to. I don't know if it was a comment on my post or another post I read, but the commenter mentioned that when caught the WW would say she was lonely because I wouldn't talk to her even though it was her that stopped talking. So may have actually been lonely with her manufactured cold shoulder to me and her BFF moving away. Another commenter said that So felt guilty and couldn't look me in the eye. So was one to carry her guilt around like a ball and chain. I had my list of 9 possibilities, and without showing her my list, I asked BFF who she would put on her list of APs. The first name she said was number 2 on my list, quickly to 1. The next 2 I had thought of but left off my list after I told her my reasons. She agreed not on the list. The 4th guy she mentioned was number 1 on my list too. She had 2 more and we agreed that it wouldn't be them either. Then I went through the rest of my list, and after discussion we and I shot down most of them, but agreed that number 8 on my list was a possibility. Also, we both agreed that So would have to know someone to have an affair. She wasn't one to be picked up randomly. When we were done, she asked me if I noticed anything about the 3 guys. She said that they all had the same personality. They would talk only when talked to, funny, intelligent, caring, helpful, and somewhat of a perfectionist by nature. She said they were all like me, which is obviously my So's type. That floored me. Why would she look for another me if she already had me? Were we projecting? Was she looking for that spark we had when we first met? I always left work at work. I tried to take care of Em when I came home from work so she could relax. Did I not give her enough attention? I always hugged and kissed my So in front of Em. When Em was young, she sometimes got a little jealous and it was cute. Later on, when we hugged and kissed, Em would hop up and down and squeal until I swept her up, and So and I would hug and kiss her between us while she giggled in delight. After we get moved and settled in, I plan on taking Em to town for a weekend and dropping her with her friends while I go see 1, 2 and 8. Hopefully I will get the answer I want and be able to leave this nonsense alone for good.